It's Tuesday, so it's time for Broadcast Now, episode number 41 for June 11th, 2013. Today, we have a special guest on, and we want to talk about royalty-free music. Now, some of the big things that happen when you're broadcasting, and most people don't know, is that when you run into issues on YouTube, some of the other sites that you upload to, can be a really big pain in the rear. Well, today our guest is going to talk about what he has done as a side project, as well as turning it into a business about royalty-free music. He's a producer, and he's got a great product for you guys, both free, and you can get a nice upgrade for a little bit more. All this today when Broadcast Now starts now. I want to thank you guys for tuning in here to Broadcast Now, and I'm really excited to do the show today. Very cool. We also want to introduce our special guest, our guest of honor, Mr. Sean Farrell from SoundtracksMusic.com. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me here. I'm really happy to be here.
Well, you know, we appreciate you coming on here and talking about this, and you also have a website. Let's pull that up. You have
SoundtracksMusic.com.
And you specialize in making royalty-free music, which is going to be the focal point of today's show. So,
awesome.
Really appreciate you being on here and hanging out with us here at the Tech Buzz. And you guys in the chat room, make sure you put any questions or comments that you may have in the chat room. Sean is in the chat room. And Sean, let's start out by just kind of getting a background of you. You know, how did you get into this? What made you decide to get into this? Is music a passion, a hobby? Tell us a little bit.
Well, you know, I grew up an only child out in the country, and my parents bought me any computer I ever wanted when I was a kid to keep me busy. And it really got started when I got my Amiga, or my Commodore 64 before that. And I made music on all those, and at 19, I started my own company doing video productions. I had a video toaster, and and went on from there. And I needed music for my productions, and when I was 15, I bought my first keyboard, and I started making music for my own videos, simply because I couldn't afford anything that I could find. Back then, there weren't that many royalty-free music companies out there, and the ones that were a couple $1,000s to get into. So I started making my own music, and it's blossomed into what it's become today, which is SoundtracksMusic.com. It was 20 years in the making, really, and then I'm very proud of what it's become. And again, it was mostly music for my own needs, but then as other people started to hear my music, they would ask me, do you have this kind of music? And I would, produce something like that. So I'm really open to anybody asking me, requesting a special type of music, because I'll almost always jump on it and do it.
Absolutely. And now, I had kind of met Sean kind of by accident. I was searching a forum, the New Tech Forum, and Facebook page. And I happened to see his post in there about royalty-free music. So obviously, as a broadcaster, podcast producer, Richard, I went in and I clicked on the link, did what everybody said, or it says on the site, to put in your email address and go in and you'll get 100 free songs. And at first I was like, there's got to be a catch to this. Am I going to get spammed in my email? I mean, I'm just being honest. And so, I did it, and he sent me the email. Really nice, personal, wasn't a automated response. And he's like, hey, thanks for signing up. And I said, I'd like to have you on the show. And I said, to talk about this and promote this because of how expensive, Richard, it is to buy royalty-free music. We talked about this a little bit pre-show.
Yeah.
What, $30, $40?
Yeah, some tracks that you buy, individual tracks. I mean, you can buy tracks that are $10, $30, $40, and you can only use them for certain things because they come with a certain licensing agreement with them. And that's really what you're paying for. You're not paying for the artist's music. You're not paying for the right to use it. You're paying for the licensing agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. So, explain to us a little bit about your setup, what you're doing. Is this a full-time job that you're doing, or is this something that you're just kind of doing on the side until it gets to the point of doing it full-time?
Well, it's kind of reached the point where it's becoming, full time, because I really want to start cranking out a lot more music and keep my chops going. Because if you let them lay for a while, you lose some of your skill. Music is a muscle. Most of the music that was produced in Volume 1 was all done with outboard gear, a large keyboard and synth racks and rack modules and things like that. Outboard gear hooked to a computer. And today I'm down to, I have a laptop with a keyboard I bring with me anywhere, and I use a lot of VSTs, virtual software synthesizers. It's all done inside the computer, which is great. And then there are a few tracks, a good balance of tracks that a friend of mine had produced in Nashville, some acoustic guitar tracks that are really nice, that really help round out the library, that weren't done on a computer. So I'm probably going to start working with a few more, outside sources to do some stuff that I can't do on the computer, because you just can't do everything on the computer. And I've always known that, and I wanted to have a well-rounded library. But the majority of the stuff that's done by me is done on a computer, and nowadays I'm using Sonar from Cakewalk, and I've got Complete 7, I think it is, from Native Instruments, is my another source of software instruments. So for the tech guys out there to know what I'm using, that really is everything I needed to do. I mean, I'm pretty lucky.
Can I ask you, what genres of music are you producing right now in terms of the royalty-free stuff that you've got out there? Is it rock-based, is it country-based, or is it a mixture of a lot of different genres?
Really, the way I could categorize the music of Soundtracks is I've tried to categorize them by genres, and it doesn't really fit traditional genres. I mean, I would say it's a good range of slow music to faster music, in mood. But I don't produce a lot of, I would say there's a couple songs that you could classify as country western. There's a couple songs you could classify as classical, but it's not. I really have to kind of categorize it as, what I suggest people do is download the 100 tracks and listen to them, and in their mind they'll say, oh, this would work well for this video I've got coming up. That's the genres that I kind of go for. I mean, it's not traditional. It's all, like I don't read music, and I'm not a traditional music player. I play by ear. So therefore, I'm not really playing in genres. I'm just playing a certain style that I feel, I say I need this kind of song for this type of video, and I produce it. So it's hard to genre classify it. When I do that, out of the 100 songs, you might have one song in each genre, and there's a lot of crossover, where one song could fit in more than one genre. If I was to say what Soundtracks, focused on, it would be corporate, documentary style, and there's a lot of, like Steve said, there's some techno songs in there, some dance songs, some real technological songs, but they're all made to go behind videos. They're not made to be like a techno dance song. They're made to kind of, I need a technical song behind this video that's a little more upbeat, So they don't really fit in traditional genres. They're music made for different styles of video. So the different, I can't say what genre they'd be in. It's just that the best thing you could do for yourself is to download the 100 tracks for free, listen to them, and say, I like this kind of music. I like what he's done, because there's going to be more of that in Volume 2 and Volume 3.
A lot of people out there, you don't realize that a lot of musicians like this, whether they're producing it on a computer, whether like he's self-taught like I am, you play by ear, you do everything by ear. There's a lot of time invested. I mean, I remember when I had the band, we put in about 40 hours to record one track, and so the price that he's offering, even for the 100 tracks being free, it's worth you downloading and taking a listen. But one of the things that he is announcing, and I feel privileged on this show, is something else. And why don't you talk a little bit about what you're announcing here?
Okay. Well, launched today. It just got set up last night on the Soundtracks page. Is Soundtracks Volume 2, and like I said, Soundtracks Volume 1 was recorded over a 20-year period, and Soundtracks Volume 2 was recorded over about a 3-year period, and it's 50 more songs that you can preview, like you show on the site there, and you can click on the PayPal Buy Now button, and as soon as you pay for it with PayPal, then I will send you a link to the 50 new tracks. And I'm not going to say they're better or worse than or newer than Volume 1, because I'm proud of Volume 1, because even though some of those tracks were made 20 years ago, there's not really one track in that volume that you could listen to and say, oh, that's unusable because it sounds like it was off of an 80s radio station or something, but it's just 50 more songs that are in the spirit of Volume 1 of Soundtracks, which is 50 songs that you should be able to use in all different types of video productions, and I'm proud of them. I'm very proud of them, and it just came. I was going to do another volume of 100, and I figured because I was doing your show today, I had 50 tracks. Let's make it 50 tracks. Soundtracks Volume 2 will be 50 tracks. So we're launching it today.
Very cool. I mean, that's like I said earlier in pre-show, I'm going to pick it up after the show. I got the 100 downloaded. Some of you guys have been to hang out. You guys, I pointed you in the direction of this to listen to it, so when the show happened, you could at least know where it's coming from, because I knew something big was coming. And it's really, really cool. Now, Richard, what does this mean for production level for broadcasters when they find somebody like Sean, and why it's important, that we bring in guys like Sean that really nobody's, he's been out there, he's trying to get his brand out just like anybody else. Bring him in, publicizing him and putting it out to the broadcasting community. I mean, to me, having somebody like that to say, hey, I've got an idea, and then have him compose it, produce it, put it out there, here you go. I think it's a win-win, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think what this means to guys like you and I, and guys that are doing, amateur video production on a shoestring budget, I mean, this gives you that other level of professionalism. And for the first 100 tracks being free, you don't find that very often in a lot of places. So, I mean, it's a great way, a great incentive for you to check out Sean's site, to download the 100 tracks, use them in a documentary or anything else that you might be producing. Hey, listen, we've got all the coverage from Spock Days. I've got the tracks. They're on their way. I sent Sean my email today, so I should be receiving my tracks within a few hours after the show. But I want to look at some of this music for some of the music beds that we'll need for the Spock Days coverage, and I think it's going to work out great.
Now, Sean, one of the questions that I have for you, and I know this question is going to come up in the chat room, so I'm going to hit it before it even comes up, is, okay, so you're putting this royalty-free music out there to everybody. Here, I'm going to play devil's advocate. That's 150 songs, but then everybody else is going to use those same 150 songs. Do you oppose somebody like me who's good in Pro Tools or good in, some of the other programs that are out there, like what's the one from Apple? I can't even think of it, but
Logic.
Thank you, Logic. And I decide I want to take track 1 and track 4 and track 8 and just combine them all to give myself a very unique track. Are you opposed to anybody doing that?
No, in fact, I encourage that, and I've even had other people who wanted to put vocals over them or do whatever, or add stuff to them or edit them. I don't care. That's you're buying the rights to do whatever you want to do with this music, short of selling the music as it stands to somebody else, to use. You could modify it and sell it to somebody else. That's fine. But it's really open-ended as far as the agreement goes. I'm not putting any stipulations on what you can or can't do with the music. You can broadcast it, you can podcast it, you can change it, you can edit it, you can do whatever you want. It's yours. It's a tool for you to use.
Now, some Richard, I don't know if you've come across this, but some royalty-free music companies, even videos, they say you can do this, but if you're monetizing off of your podcast or your broadcast or even the video that you're putting up, whether it's a tutorial or a webinar, well, you just can't use it, or you've got to buy an extended license. You've had that, right, Richard?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've run across that several times. And that was going to bring up the question that I had for Sean in terms of the copyright information regarding his music. How people use your music, if they are doing a podcast where they've got sponsors that give them money or products or whatever, how does that affect you on the back end?
Well, what I ask for is that, just people will mention soundtracksmusic.com in their productions if they could. It doesn't affect me if I'm getting your question right. I'm not going to ask people to pay more royalties if they're getting paid by sponsors or something like that. It's just all I ask is that maybe they mention me or do things like Steve is doing here and both of you, and maybe highlight me in some way. That would be a great payback.
Now, wouldn't it be safe to say that people who are using your music should put it in their end credits at least, if they're not going to mention you on the show? Yeah,
and they don't even have to do that, but it would be very nice if they did. But I'm not going to put it in a law in my library. So then, if I see a show and somebody doesn't mention me in their credits, that I can sue them or something.
Right.
I really want it to be something you don't have to worry about. Is just being able to download the music, use it as you would, and not have to worry about it. Just enjoy it.
So now with the collection of songs that you have now, are you looking at expanding that with other artists to add to the Soundtracks library?
Yeah, I really am, because there's only so much you can do on a computer, and I've pushed the limits in Soundtracks Volume 1 and 2, and I did use some other artists in that with some acoustic real instruments to enhance the library, and I can't move forward and not continue to do that. I have to keep expanding and get other artists doing, so I can keep a well-rounded music library, because I really want each volume to be a well-rounded, I could use this for that or that for this, a good wide variety of styles. And you can't do that with just one person on a computer. You have to involve other musicians.
This is something that I had asked you in pre-show, and I said, what happens if YouTube, Mevio, Vimeo, all these places, maybe even iTunes, all of a sudden sends me a cease and desist letter because, well, I've used your product, I've used it to basically play maybe my outro, my intro, or maybe even during a news read. Let's say I'm doing tech news and I want to play so you have a sound that sounds like news. What do I have to do? How do I combat YouTube? I want to get that answer right after we talk about one of our sponsors, and that is GoDaddy. GoDaddy is one of the sponsors here at the Tech Buzz and Tech Buzz Network. We've been able to get them and lock them on here for all the shows on the network. And it's really, really cool to have GoDaddy be a part. And listen, GoDaddy's got you covered. Whether you're just trying to build a website for, I don't know, podcast, broadcast, maybe you wanted to start your own music business, GoDaddy's got you covered. You can come out here, fill in a domain to see if it's available, and you can not only do that, but GoDaddy has this awesome promo code that you can see in the lower third there for $295. And Richard's going to tell you a little bit more about what GoDaddy has to offer you.
GoDaddy has a whole lot of great things to offer you, from content creation to, the best price on the internet for a website. Come on, $295, get your domain today. And you know what? I want you to use promo code TTB295. Get yourself a discount. Get yourself a website up and running within minutes, because they've got WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, and all of the other great creation content providers out there. All one click. Get in there, get it now. $295. You can't beat it. Use TTB295 as a promo code when on checkout.
Very cool. Well, we want to thank them for their support and continued support here of the Tech Buzz. So, Sean, what do we have to worry about if YouTube sends us a cease and desist letter with saying that the music's copywritten?
Well, I haven't run into that problem very much with my music. It happened once when I was uploading one of my own videos with one of my songs on it, and it said, "Oh, we're blocking this because of the music is copyrighted by this company." It said by some company out of New York, and that was for a while. YouTube was blocking all kinds of music. Every song you could think of was being blocked and being argued with, and shortly thereafter that stopped happening. But if it does happen, what you have to do is send in a receipt for the song to YouTube when they send you the block notice, and then if that doesn't work out, I can step in and say, hey, I'm the copyright owner of this song, but I've never had to do that. I've researched it a little bit to see what would happen when I had to do that, but with my music never being copyrighted and never being registered. It just doesn't show up in their library.
Very, very cool. Now, some people were asking in the chat room, I'm sure you saw it, he says, how come we can't listen to any of the tracks? I pulled it up here on my iPad, and I hope it's not going to be overbearing to you guys, and you guys on Skype, you'll have to tell me. I pulled the volume down a little bit, so just, if it needs to come up a little louder, just let me know. I'm going to pull it down for safekeeping so we don't blow our eardrums out, but I'm going to play a little clip here from the YouTube video of Soundtracks Music Library Teaser. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, let's give this a go. Is that too loud?
Not at all.
That's fine.
I know where I can use that track right now.
Hi, this is Sean from Soundtracks. Today I'm using HitFilm 2 Ultimate, and I've put together a project consisting of some 3D objects and some lighting effects I applied.
So this was one of the videos that you did to, you know, kind of talk about it, but there's a little bit of a sound effect. Is there another video maybe that I could play? Let me see this one here. This is Boombox FX.
Boombox effect. Where did you pull that up on?
Wait, nope, that's somebody else. Hang on. Somebody,
They're selling my stuff.
they're selling, they're selling his stuff. Let's see here. The Soundbox Music Library Teaser. Is that the same one that I just played?
Yeah, you could just fast forward into it if you want.
Okay. Let's see what we got here. Let YouTube buffer here a little bit. So, here we go.
And lately we've been helping farm.
So he's actually doing a voiceover on like he's having your tracks play in the background. I know you guys can't see the video. I'm looking at it here on my iPad.
The mix and a long-term goal to eventually.
But you can hear the music in the background.
We have all of the resources here to do that. We have wind.
Trying to find a good spot to just grab some music from. But you guys, listen. Sean, what is your YouTube? I just searched Soundtracks Music and it came up with it. Is that what it is on YouTube.com/?
Yeah, there's not much on YouTube. I mean, what I would suggest to everyone is just enter your email and get those 100 tracks and listen to them. See if you like them. You know.
Absolutely. So here, let's see what this is. Here's one. So I'm not going to play it on, and because you're just ready to soothe off and fall asleep. No, that's a great track. Like if you, one of the things that I noticed, Sean, with your tracks, and it's not because you're just on the show here, but it's something that I know that I could do voiceovers for introing, like if I wanted to run a pre-roll for all my ads, have that running in the background and be able to say, this show is brought to you by, and kind of do that type of thing. Yeah,
they're really, I'm not a traditional musician, and when I post my music on like music websites saying, well, it's kind of repetitive and it's kind of this, well, a lot of the stuff I write is meant to be that way. They're meant to be beds, textures behind a voiceover or behind anything that's going on. They can carry their own very well, but the rule of thumb for me is this has got to be something that's going to flow behind a voiceover and give a certain feel the whole way through, so that if you want, if you like that beginning of that song, you're going to like the middle and the end of that song underneath your whole track, your whole video. So that's just been it's because I've been writing music for video and for soundtracks and narrations. That's why my music is that way, and it's nothing that I think I should apologize for. It's something that I think is a benefit.
No, absolutely. Richard, are you taking notes? Are you sitting there right now?
I'm actually surfing on the iPad YouTube. I'm looking at some of the YouTube videos that Sean's produced on his YouTube page, Sean Farrell on YouTube. And I got to tell you, man, some of these are pretty wicked. I'm a big fan already.
Are you looking at my old page that has like what video are you watching?
Well, I'm at the one that has the header for trustmedia.tv.
Okay, yeah, that's my old page. I can't even get into that page anymore. Those videos are stuck there forever.
Well, I'm there right now, so.
He's over there. Richard is combing the site, and while Richard's doing that, and we want to take this opportunity right now to before we take a quick break, we want to thank the folks over at Bit Gravity. They are the exclusive HD provider here of the Tech Buzz. If you're wanting to watch the show in HD and you're on one of the other networks, whether it's Justin or Ustream, you're kind of out of luck. Bit Gravity is the supreme CDN that we've got here at the Tech Buzz. You want to know more information, head over to bitgravity.com, and you can find out more about how you can get the streaming to your iPad, iOS, Android, you name it. BitGravity's got you covered, and you can even be watching this show on one of those devices. And so we want to thank them for their support and continued support here of the Tech Buzz. So now what we're going to do here, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Sean Farrell and about all his sound effects. You guys, this is a great opportunity to check it out, but there's another guy that we want you to check out, and it's a show that I produced yesterday called The Jeff Adams Show. It's been a cross between the Seinfeld of the internet, as some of the viewers have deemed it, but also two guys having midlife crises, and I think they said older hipsters. I don't know.
I wonder if I can get on that show.
You might be able to get on that show. He's always looking for a co-host. So take a look at the Jeff Adams Show. We'll be right back right after this.
But when it comes to myself, we the middle-aged hipsters, dubbed by some troll this week. But I'll take it. That's an indication of how this day is going to go.
It's screwed up already, man.
I know. I understand that. I still hear voices in my head. It's Stephen Haywood's talking to me, and he's just like coaching me like a beast, like a boss, like a boss, like a boss, like a boss, like a boss.
Violated the thing. Let me just tell you what just happened. Oh, now he hung up on you, dude.
It's screwed. I don't make this stuff up. I don't make it up.
That was the Jeff Adams Show, and it's a fun show. It's a fun show for me to produce. I love it, and I encourage you guys to check it out. Jeff is going to be going to Haiti, so this Thursday the show will be airing, but it's one that we recorded yesterday, and those of you that were live, you got to participate and see it live as it was going on. But we are talking with Sean Farrell of Music Tracks, or I'm sorry, I jacked up your name. This is what happens when you're doing 50 things at once. But
we got some ghosting going on. I'm not sure what that's about.
I was trying to pull a whole Casper here. Yeah, that wasn't working here.
So just so everybody knows, the website for Sean is soundtracksmusic.com.
Here, I'll put the lower third up under you, even though you're not Sean.
I'm not Sean, but
Perfect.
soundtracksmusic.com is the place to go for royalty-free music. He's got volume 1 out now, free. All you got to do is give me your email address. Then if you want another 50 tracks, $25. How cheap is that?
That's what I'm saying.
Sean, I got a couple questions I want to ask you about you're moving to doing a website that does royalty-free music as opposed to taking your royalty-free music and putting it on other people's site. What was the thought process, and how did you come to the decision to do it all yourself?
Well, I went through a few different, I would call it a few different ways of distributing. I used to go to, it all started actually when I had my video toaster. I had 3 CDs, physical compact discs, back when those were big, of music, and I would go to their shows and sell them, and I was selling them in their magazine. And then I took a kind of a hiatus from selling my music because I had a video production company, a multimedia company that was doing really well. I had 7 employees, and I was managing that, and I still managed to write some music, but I got out of selling it. I just put it on the back burner. And then about 5 years ago, I realized I had 100 tracks and wanted to put together the website and started building it. And it's kind of morphed a few times into what it is now, kind of a tall, long, scrolling website. That I've never really sold my music with any other entity because I never wanted to get somebody else's fingers in it. You know, I always wanted to have total copyright control over my music, so that's why it's stayed the way it has.
Now, adding to your library as you are you going to be going into doing sound effects pieces as well, or is it just going to remain a royalty-free music site?
It's probably going to remain royalty-free music unless I find somebody who has a sound effects library who wants to sell it to me for dirt cheap. Because, I mean, you can go to any store now and they've got sound effects are so cheap. I just don't know if I could compete with that. You know,
right?
It's just not my forte, my specialty. My specialty is making, you know, long format music pieces.
Now, have you given any kind of thought to possibly, and I'm throwing this out there, maybe you already have done this, making or finding a developer to do any kind of iOS or Android development for your music, like create an application where broadcasters like myself, we could have it pulled up on an iPad or something, trigger those effects, or not the effects, but the soundtracks, have them to where we can adjust it with the mixer that's built into it, which is connecting to our hardware mixer. It's right there at our fingertips, boom, 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 right during, just like we just did when we pulled it up on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I actually had built something like that myself. It was the Soundtracks music selector. I built it in Flash, and it was all the songs on a grid, and you could click on a song and it would play it.
Mm-hmm.
Stop the one that was currently playing. Short of the volume selectors and things like that, you know, it's exactly what you were asking for. So that might be something that, you know, if you ask, I could do. You tell me what you need, I could do it. You know, I mean, I'm a bit of a programmer, a bit of a coder. So I'm enough to be dangerous, you know.
Well, I mean, right now, currently, and I know Richard's probably thinking the same thing, we use an application called BossJock.
Yes.
And so you could basically load these sounds, you know, right from iTunes into your iPad using BossJock, correct, Richard?
Yeah, you can. And there's several other softwares out there. These are known as electronic cart machines. Back in the day when I did radio, we had the old style cart machines, which were an 8-track tape that you put in, and it had 10, 30, 15 seconds, depending on what the spot was. If you could have these all loaded into a pre-built cart machine that came with the soundtrack files, I mean, that would be great.
I see John's commenting in the chat room. Do you want to handle? I see Sean. I see you looking at that. Where John says in the chat room, I would like the tracks to be broken up into intros, stingers, and of course full tracks. And so, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that's a great idea. I don't do a lot of that right now. I mean, if I write a stinger, I write a stinger like the one you heard at the beginning of the Soundtracks website.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I write a song, it's a full-length song. You know, and the way my songs are written, it's pretty easy to just, if you've got SoundForge or even in your editor, you could fade them out or tack the end onto the beginning, you know, and shorten them up. But it's a good idea to do that, and I will possibly, depending on, you know, I haven't had a lot of demand for it. I haven't had a lot of people calling me and saying, can you break this song down to a 30-second spot? You know, if I got a lot of that, I would do that. And I'm totally open for someone, if they heard one of my songs, they could email me and say, hey, could you make this a 30 for me? And I could do that.
I think that's the awesomeness of community. Having this community at your fingertips. These guys are, at least my crew in here, they are always good at giving feedback, whether it's good or bad or critical, and it helps you just be better. I mean, there's things that I do, and they'll be like, you could have did this better, and it only makes you better.
Yeah.
And so I'm always interested in these guys, and I figured they'd get a lot out of it, and being able to put this out there. Richard, did you have something else? I didn't mean to step on your toes before.
Oh, no worries, dude. I just look at it this way. I mean, if you're creating good music, people are going to flock to your website. How has the success been for you since you started this whole project?
Well, it's been for a year. I had an alignment with Corel. You know, they make Corel Video Studio Pro.
Right.
And when you booted up their software, a little splash screen came up and said, if you need music, click here, and it brought them to my website. And we sold. In that year, we sold stuff all over the world, had a really good response. And then after that, I went into the free mode, and I spend probably, 3 hours a day on Facebook sometimes, just posting ads, guerrilla marketing. And I've collected a lot of emails, a ton of emails, and now I'm going to go into the selling mode where I've got volume 2, and I'm going to email these people that have gotten the free volume 1 and say, hey, volume 2 is now available. And I've gotten a lot of great response from people saying, hey, as soon as volume 2 is available, let me know. I want to buy it. So it's been great. It's been really good. And like I said, I think the format of my website, the format of my grouping of songs, and the price structure of giving away 100 and then being reasonable on the ones that follow is different than almost anything I've found out there. So it's been successful. Hopefully now, though, it's time to make a little bit of money.
Right. Yeah. Are you looking for more partnerships in terms of hooking up with video intro and extra sites, the guys that do a lot of these little video stingers? Would you like to get hooked up with them and maybe create a partnership with your music and their video?
Oh yeah, I'm open for anything like that. I know there's it's all good and it's all business, and anything that can push my talents and get me more work, I would be thankful for.
So you guys out there, if you've got even some ideas, shoot him an email. I mean, it's listed right on his website where you can give him some thoughts. Sean, some of the things, I'll pull up the website here. It's Sean at trustmedia.tv. You can email him or give him a shout. But some of the things that I could see you possibly doing with this, that's entirely if you want to do it, is breaking it down into, you've got a bunch of tech geeks now that are interested in your product, maybe focusing some songs on that, or maybe there's news broadcasters and you focus it and you could break it down. As Richard was saying earlier, in genre, you don't really create a genre, but maybe music that that would be perfect for like a news broadcaster or breaking news or even sports or something like that, and creating a special promotional pack that broadcasters like myself would be willing to pay for because it's geared toward that specialty music that we're looking for. Richard, do you agree?
I agree 100%. I mean, anybody that's out there producing content for the internet, whether it be video or audio, you always need something to enhance that show, whether it's music or sound effects. And if you're looking for music, there's no better place to go than soundtracksmusic.com. You get you get 100 for nothing.
Awesome.
So what do you think, Sean? Does that sound like something that potentially maybe in the future is doable?
Yeah, and again, I encourage anyone who's watching or listening, if they have a need that they didn't find in volume 1 or didn't find in volume 2, to just email me and say, hey, I need this kind of song. I'll be more than willing to jump on that, and if I can, and produce something they can use, usually for very little cost, because I know I'm going to use it in my library.
Very cool. Well, let's kind of divert off the path here a little bit. So now we talked about how you got started. We talked about what you're doing currently. Let's talk about the future. And I know Richard kind of touched on it. You see yourself doing any kind of sound effects and different things like that. What would you like to see your company grow into in what you're doing? I mean, is this, you just want to stay in this niche for folks like myself and Richard who are content creators, or are you trying to go bigger? I mean, you trying to go to the movies, Warner Brothers? I mean, what are you looking to do here in the future?
Well, I've met a couple people that have told me, that if I keep going the way I am, I will end up, doing some higher end stuff, some movies and stuff like that. But, and getting paid, really good money to produce a soundtrack for a film or something, and that would be awesome. That would be great. For the future, I hope to see soundtracks continue to grow in volumes. Maybe the 10 volumes, maybe one volume every 6 months. Because it's a creative process. It takes time to make these. I can't just whip them out without creating an inferior product. I have to take my time and do what comes to me naturally. So I would love to see myself grow into being a movie scorer for the big time films and making a good living that way. But before that, even, I would like to see soundtracks continue down the road that it has gone and grow. Very,
very cool. Well, I want to take this opportunity right now to thank another one of our sponsors, and that is NewTek. Now, NewTek, for those of you that don't know, I I've been using a TriCaster now for a little while, and they have graciously sponsored some add-on software that I'm able to use to create virtual live sets as well as the live text. As you guys may or may not know, you're seeing the lower third is a little different than it normally is. You know, we're leaving the branding in the corner, the TTB in the corner, as opposed to keeping a full lower third down there.
You have to turn them off because they're covering up the lower third.
Right, exactly. So I wanted to show you these things here are what we're doing here with the live text. It gives you the ability to do that. Maybe you want your own branding on a live set. Maybe I want my Broadcast Now logo in the bottom. This live set is awesome to be able to put down on a virtual set of some sort, you know, that you're building. These are add-ons that you can get with the NewTek TriCaster. It doesn't matter which one you're using. You could be using any one of their ones that they're using. We have the TC40, but you can go all the way up to the 8000. They've got all this here. You can buy it. And there's a few other add-ons and suites that you can get, but I really don't have any use for them personally at the current moment. But check them out, newtek.com, for more information. We want to thank them for supporting us here, and really appreciate it. We've been having some fun with the TriCaster. This is my second week using this, so I'm still trying to get everything down, my whole workflow. I'm freaking everybody out because my whole workflow is changing, and everybody's like, we're not used to this. And so change is good, but change takes time. And thanks for being patient with it. And Radar Gaming in the chat room says, Sean, he says, I signed up for Soundtracks Music. How long does it take to get the email? Go ahead. He might not have been here. He was doing live E3 coverage. He might not have heard you at the beginning of the show explaining.
Well, I do it manually. So as soon as the show is over, anyone who's sent an email, I'll send it back the link to. Sometimes, you know, I get emails at 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and I don't get back on it until 9, 10 a.m. So it's not automated. It's all manual. So you'll get an email from me right after the show.
Very, very cool. So I had found this last week, or was it, Sean, 2 weeks ago that I got it?
2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
So I've been playing around. Yeah. So I've been playing around with it, and you guys know my outro that I have. I just haven't found quite there's a lot of songs to go through, and I want to find the right one. So pretty soon, the outro, when we do it, will have one of those sounds on it. Not sure which one. But I like your idea. You know, people want to give you credit. On a YouTube video, you always credit a lot of different people. I think that that's a good idea. I think that's something, you know, a lot of you guys in the chat room, if you can help Sean out, starting out, you know, and trying to get his name out in the industry, I think it helps, you know, promoting people like this. And if you have a show, broadcasting or whatnot, I'd encourage you to get him on your show, whether, you know, and have, if that's all right, Sean, have him talk about it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Get you out there in the, get him on camera. He'll be a regular pro at this.
So, and I'll have a better backdrop.
Can't be any worse than mine today.
Oh, it's worse.
But Richard, you actually look pretty good. I mean, you're doing the you're redoing your studio, and
I am.
You've got a studio tour coming hopefully next week.
Actually, yeah, we'll have it ready for next week's show. We'll be able to talk a little bit about some of the changes that we made. We'll be talking about the implementation of some of Sean's music into our shows, because I'm really looking forward to doing that, especially with our Spock Days coverage coming up this Saturday. Yeah, we've got Popcorn Lobby coming up next week, so we got lots of great stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. And guys, it was kind of like a I see they're like, and a better mic. Well, you know what? Things happen when some things are spare of the moment. I think, Sean, you emailed me, what, Friday or Saturday, and you said your schedule was clear that you'd be able to do this on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I had a shoot all weekend long, and I'm staying at someone else's house right now, so I had to set up kind of guerrilla.
Yeah, so we'll definitely, you know, get him back on when he's able to be in studio sometime. Maybe it'll be for a launch of 3 or 4, depending on, you know, when he puts it all together, and get him on here. So you just gotta work with it. So Richard, you got any other questions for him before we have to wrap it up here in about 10 minutes?
Yeah, let's quickly touch on what the future holds for Volume 3. Have you got music already in the queue, or are you going through a whole new creation process for Volume 3 that you may be releasing in, what, 6 months to a year?
I'd say 6 months, and it's going to be more of what you've already got, but I want to expand with what you said. It's probably going to be choosing the right musicians to associate myself with, to expand my horizons in that respect, because I don't want it to sound like, more of the same. I want it to be more different in as far as the instrumentation and the orchestration and the people that I involve in. I think Volume 3 is going to be the involvement of some new musicians other than the ones I've used already. So I look forward to that.
That is very cool. Now, as somebody alluded to earlier with stingers and beds and that kind of stuff, are you going to do a special edition where you've broken some of these down into those types of things, like 30-second stingers, 10 seconds, that kind of stuff?
I think there's a really good chance you'll see that, an entire volume of just stingers and 30s and 15s and 1-minute tracks. I think there's a really good chance that you'll see that in the near future.
Well, we can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to it. I always look for good music to put behind stuff because I do a lot of voiceover work. And those guys who are saying that I have a bad mic today, it's the same mic I use all the time. It's just my voice. I'm a little hoarse because I did a lot of talking over the weekend, so you'll have to forgive me.
I haven't seen anybody say anything like that. I was gonna mention at the top of the hour, and I didn't think of it. We're switching some things up. Trying to get you out of the same old mold that you're used to with broadcasts now, mixing up the advertisers when they happen, because it just kind of you just get into a routine, and then it becomes stale. I guess maybe that's okay.
I tell you what, next week I'll do the show from the bathroom.
No, they're saying they're saying the reason your voice is like that is from all that Vulcan ale that you've been drinking.
That could have been it. I drank a lot of Vulcan ale on Saturday night. I probably put a 24 away myself on Saturday night. So
if I could put this out there to anybody, if you send him an email, let him know where you heard about it. Let him know, because then the next time, we get him on, he could say, oh yeah, we want to go back on the Tech Buzz because a lot of you guys were really interested in that. Just send him, shoot him an email when he responds back to you, say, hey, yeah, I heard about it on the Tech Buzz. It was great. Really interested in, the songs that you've got going on. I'm really excited about it. I mean, the first time I saw it, like I said, not to beat a dead horse, but the first time I saw it, I had to get in touch with you because I was like, we got to get this out there. And even if my audience compared to a lot of other audiences isn't as huge as some, but I figured any audience is still better than nothing, right?
It's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you coming on here and talking with us about this here. I want to kind of get a little update. I know this is kind of off topic. Richard, why don't you give us a little bit of an update of some of the folks, because you're going to be doing these shows in upcoming from Vulcan. That you're going to give us a little update of some of the people that you got to speak with while you're out in Vulcan.
Oh, wow.
And some of the really cool celebrities you got to talk to.
Well, we got to talk to Rick Sternbach, who is senior illustrator for the Star Trek universe, including The Next Generation, DS9, and Voyager. He was actually the guy who designed DS9 and Voyager and this little ship for any of the Star Trek fans that watch the show. I got Rick, he gave me one of these.
Oh, wow.
Let me see if I can pull that back there. There we go. It's the Runabout, for anybody who doesn't know. And he signed that. We got some signed pictures of Ethan Phillips, who played Neelix from Voyager, and a photograph of Robert Picardo, and who played the Doctor on Voyager. And we spent a lot of time with these guys, hung out with them all weekend. And, the one thing that I find about actors and actresses is that, they're just like you and I. You don't have to be afraid of them. You don't have to be strange with them. They're just regular people. They put their pants on one leg at a time, and they have a great time. So they're there to entertain, and that's exactly what they did this weekend. So I'm encouraging everybody on the show today, tune in to Between the Pages this Saturday, 12 o'clock Mountain Time, 11 a.m. on the East Coast, or 11 a.m. on the West Coast. and 2 p.m. on the East Coast to tune in and check out our coverage from the 21st annual Spock Days. And also, please join us again for next Monday, this coming Monday. Join us for our look at The Man of Steel. We're going to see it Wednesday night, and we're going to be talking about that on Popcorn Lobby on Monday night. So it's we got a lot of great things, and Popcorn Lobby is going to be starting to come out on a more regular schedule, but we are switching to Monday nights.
Oh, wow. Very, very cool. So keep aware of that. We also want to thank... Oh, go ahead.
And if I can, I just want to give a little plug to the guys who did these fine shirts for us. You see between the pages. These were done by a company called NitroGeek.com. If you're looking for geek shirts or anything like that, or you want to get a Between the Pages shirt, go to NitroGeek.com. It'll have Between the Pages on the front and this nice, cool logo on the back.
And a big old ape on the back as well.
Yeah, there we go.
We also want to give a shout out to one of our buds that has developed the Roku app that you guys may or may not be watching this show on right now, whether you're watching it live. If you're watching on the Roku, that's awesome. Appreciate it. You know, we had a little over 6,000 downloads on the Roku app in about a month, a little over a month, I think it's been. So kudos to all you guys that have been downloading it and enjoying the content, whether it's recorded or live like it is now. But Nick Craig from CraigDigitalDesigns.com. If you need a website overhaul and you need it affordable without breaking your bank, Nick's got a great setup for you. Not only does he develop websites for broadcasters and podcasters, but for businesses. And also, you know, you can do a lot even with Roku. Maybe you got a show and you want a Roku application. You can get it all done. I always like to plug him. He's not an advertiser per se, but he's done a very good job for us. And he's, again, Sean, he's a business guy just like you, trying to build his brand, trying to get out there. And you know, it's all about helping each other, networking together, and pulling together to get the word out and help each other in a community fashion.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much.
And we also want to thank you for being on here. You guys can check out soundtracksmusic.com. And again, if you missed earlier in the show where we talked about the sounds and Sean went through some of the sounds, I even played some of them, you can go here even before you put your email address in. You can hit play on this video here and it'll play some of the libraries that are there, and the exclusive he gave us today where he launched Volume 2, which has 50 songs for $25. Can't go wrong. You want to buy it, you come right down here, click buy now, pay it with PayPal, and as soon as he gets that, boom, you get yourself 150, because you get the 100 free plus 50 for $25. Can't beat that. And send all your questions, comments, or concerns to Sean at trustmedia.tv, as well as, or you can give him a call, but put it in right here's where you put your email in the bottom. And Sean, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Soundtracks.
A man of few words, but straight to the point. Richard,
thank you.
Did you want me to do a radio intro for you?
Yes.
For all your soundtrack needs, go to soundtrackmusic.com. They've got everything that you'll need for all that background music for any video production. That's soundtracksmusic.com.
I'm stealing that.
I'll send you a copy.
All right.
We'll write the copy together, and I'll do a professional one for you.
Awesome.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richard Cleveland from NakedApeProd.com. Do you have any shows tonight, or is this the bye week because your studio's still in shambles?
Yeah, the studio looks like somebody threw a grenade in there, so I'm still putting it back together from the weekend. But we are going to be doing the show this Saturday. I will be live in the chat room, but the show is pre-recorded due to the fact that we've got an hour and a half worth of content that we want to provide to you. But I will be live in the chat room, so if you have any questions while the feed's going on, please talk to me about it. And then we come back Monday night with a brand new episode of Popcorn Lobby. We are talking about the Man of Steel, the history of Superman in movies, and we're gonna have a great time with that. And then you'll see me back here next Tuesday for Broadcast Now.
Well, I appreciate you, Richard, for coming on here. And guys, You know where to find me, thetechbuzz.net, for all of the technology hub. You can also go over here to our Facebook fan page, which is growing more and more since I started promoting it. 369, we'd like to see that grow. You can go over to facebook.com/thetechbuzzfan. And also some of the things that we've been doing, at least on Twitter. You know, I was an early adopter to Twitter, but I didn't really use it to its fullest extent. You know, I talked with a gentleman in a Google Plus Hangout, and he says, man, you guys start using hashtags for your shows, you know, TTB broadcast and hashtag TTB weekly roundup for the shows or whatever. So I'd encourage you guys, start using some hashtags like pound the tech buzz or hashtag the tech buzz, hashtag the tech buzz studios. Start facilitating that out onto Twitter, and I think we'll see a lot of things start growing. I really appreciate everybody's support and all the things that have been going on here at the Tech Buzz. We're growing. Things are getting bigger. Things are getting better. I'm getting used to a lot of the new gear that I'm playing with here in the studio to bring you news at its best, technology at its finest. And so tune in Thursday. We're going to be showing the Jeff Adams Show, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I will come on for a pre-show from 3 to 3:30, and then we'll click it to the recording of the Jeff Adams Show that we did yesterday. If you missed it, it was a great show. If you're interested, for you tech geeks who might have watched Jeff Adams Show and you said, I'm not into the whole comedy thing, I want the meat and potatoes, Jeff had a really exciting guest. His name was Derek, and he was one of the original contributors in the Microsoft Start button. So if you're interested in some tech history, this is an actual show that I can say that the geeks will appreciate. You want to check this show out on Thursday. It's different than any other show that Jeff has done, and it's a good show. And I like the way Jeff mixes it up and keeps you on your toes. You never know what he's going to come up with. And his co-host Andrew Zarian, because Eric unfortunately was unavailable, he had some car trouble. So you know, check it out. You don't want to miss this. It was a great show. And tune in Thursday, 3:30 Eastern Time. But until next time, keep buzzing.